young, independent, and emerging from a broken engagement. What Mary Richards portrayed on the popular 70s sitcom, Elizabeth Yax was living in real life.
Here I am, 29, no house, no fiance, no job. What do? Well, you moved to Nashville.
Rather than a sitcom, Elizabeth's story could be a classic country song. A spunky, small-town girl grows up in a happy family, graduates college with a degree in sociology, and big dreams.
I went into radio, because that's what you do when you have that kind of a degree, I guess. KSYC was the newcomer on the block, and they had a lot of fun things going for them.
Within 4 years, Elizabeth was sales manager, and just when things couldn't get better, the station was sold. Elizabeth's story was in for a big change.
I had just been engaged prior to the radio station selling, and I called off my wedding. So here I am, 29, the station is sold, I've lost my job, but I do have my RX-7. I put everything that fit in that RX-7, which, trust me, wasn't a lot. I took off to Nashville. I think I was a little crazy, but definitely determined, and didn't have anything.
But thanks to a friend, Elizabeth had a place to stay and a backstage pass to the Grand Ole Opry.
It was a common courtesy thing that they would give you access backstage if you worked in the radio department, with a radio station.
In a way only Elizabeth could do, she turned a single night's access into a 2-year pass.
Yes, well, it's called making friends. So you smile and you make friends, and you belong there. And little by little, I didn't have to show a pass, I didn't have to be on the list.
Elizabeth made a lot of friends, but none more important than the one she made with Terry King.
It was just like, wow, what a great smile.
Like a page from a romance novel, Elizabeth and Terry met for the first time backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, where Terry was working as a musician.
I was still with Patty, and we had just gotten back from a USO tour with Randy Travis. And so we were at the Opry.
That was the very night Elizabeth used her backstage pass.
Pretty good night for me, too, because 2 years later I married that Terry King.
Terry grew up 1 hour from Nashville and taught himself how to play guitar. But he didn't get his start in country music.
Ended up in Muscle Shows and was a staff writer there for a while.
Terry wrote songs for top R&B talent, but after a few years, he moved back to Nashville and went to work for top country artists.
Terry got a call, and it was Mel, and he said, "We're going to Branson."
Terry and Elizabeth had been dating over a year when he got the call. It was the early 90s, and while Terry went to Branson, Elizabeth stayed in Nashville.
I said, Mel, this girl that I was dating in Nashville, I think I'm going to ask her to marry me. He said, take me home and you can take my car.
Elizabeth and Terry tied the knot back in Nebraska just a few days before Christmas.
It was 15 below zero with 25 below zero wind chills. They always said it'd be a cold day when I got married. And it was.
Terry continued working for Mel Tillis, but after their first baby arrived, Terry left his music career and the family settled in Nebraska.
Elizabeth's a good salesman. She's very strong, not only personality-wise, faith-wise. Some aspects she's not only saved my life, she saved my soul.
Looking back, do I think I could move to Nashville and do what I did again now at my age? No way. But am I glad I did? Because now I can say there are no regrets.
And here is where the story gets a little sweeter. Elizabeth and Terry still keep in touch with their old friends.
I don't know. You probably would.
How are you?
It's been more than 20 years since their fateful meeting backstage of the Grand Ole Opry, and yet, the Lovebirds are still singing.